He said, does this apply to everyone? Or like, is it easy for the believers? Or is it sometimes somebody will die without any pain? And, death has agonies, and nobody can escape that. But it's degrees, depending on the deeds of the person. And if somebody was to be exempted from that, it would be the best man ever. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. When he was dying, it's narrated that he used to put his hand in a pot full of water. And he would just put his hand there, and would just like wipe over his face, and he would say, La ilaha illallah, inna lil mawti la sakarat. Indeed, there are agonies for death. That's the Prophet himself. Okay? Which means he's telling us, prepare yourself for that moment. But the Prophet also told us that for the believer, it will be much, much easier than the disbeliever. He said it will be taken as if you take a hair out of the dhow. Okay? But subhanAllah, when it comes to the disbeliever, it will be as if you're taking a piece of iron from wool. It will never come out until it will tear all the subhanAllah, the textile of that, of the fabric, which means it's very, very painful. It's like exactly the day of judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that day is 50,000 years. Right? Is it going to feel like 50,000 years for everyone? No. How do you know? From the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَذَلِكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَوْمٌ عَسِيرٌ. That's fine. Indeed, that day will be very tough. But the next ayah said, عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ غَيْرُ يَسِيرٌ. For the disbelievers, it's going to be very tough. What does this mean? For the believers, it's not. So the Prophet ﷺ said in the tafsir of this ayah, he said the day of judgment, yes, will be 50,000 years. This is how it would feel for disbelievers. And the sun is 93 million miles away from us. And 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. I'm very bad at math. If you just multiply 93 by 1.6 kilometers, I don't know what the number would be. On the day of judgment, the narrator of the hadith of al-Shafa'ah said, the Prophet said, تَدْنُ الشَّمْسُ مِنْ رُؤُوسِ الْخَلَائِقِ قَدْرَ مِيلٍ. The sun will come as close as 1 mile. But then even the narrator said, لا أدري أهو الميل أم هو الميل الذي تكتحل به المرأة. The word mil in Arabic has two meanings. It could mean the mile, which is 1.6 kilometers. It could mean the mascara, that little thing that the women use to put the black stuff in their eyes. It's called al-mil. That much. That long. That's why the Prophet said, Minna man yablughu al-araq. On that day, imagine if the sun now 93 miles, and in the summer, what happens to people? They die out of heat. Right? Imagine if the sun is right here. He said, some of us, their sweat will be up to their ankles. Minna man yablughu al-araq ila ka'bayn. And some of us, their sweat will be up to their knees. وَمِنَّا مَنْ يَبْلُغُ الْعَرَقِ إِلَى رُكْبَتَيْهِ وَمِنَّا مَنْ يَبْلُغُ الْعَرَقِ إِلَى رِجْفَيْهِ. Some of us, their sweat will be up to their waists. وَمِنَّا مَنْ يَبْلُغُ الْعَرَقِ إِلَى حِقْوَيْهِ. Some of us, their sweat will be up to their collarbones. وَمِنَّا مَنْ يُلْجِمُهُ الْعَرَقُ إِلْجَامًا. Some of us will be drowning in their sweat. Depending on what? On their deeds. But then you remember the good news I told you at the beginning of my speech? سَبْعَةٌ يُظِلُّهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي ظِلِّ يَوْمَ لَا ظِلَّ إِلَّا ظِلُّهُ. 7 categories of people will be under the shade of Allah when there will be no shade except the shade of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imamun Adil. We just mention one of them. So you have to go and study the hadith and be amongst those people. وَرَجُلٌ قَلْبُهُ مُعَلَّقٌ بِالْمَسَاجِدِ. Someone whose heart is attached to the masjid. But he knows that his life is in connecting with Allah. Salah means connection with Allah. But whatever he does outside is just like seeking the means of livelihood. But this is not the goal. The goal is, how can I stay connected to Allah? My 5 spiritual meals are more important than the 3 main meals and the 6 snacks in between. Okay? So, this is the day of judgment. The Prophet said, this is how it will feel. People will be sweating until they will run out of water. And then they will be sweating blood until they run out of blood. And then they're going to say, Ya Allah, finish this day, even if you take us to hellfire. We just wanted to put an end to this suffering. But no one can, ask Allah to do this. Because that day will be very, very tough. This is what the Prophet ﷺ said in that hadith Shafa'i said, when people get so frustrated, they cannot talk directly to Allah. So they're gonna go to who? To the prophets. These are the closest to Allah. They're gonna start with Adam alayhi salam. They say, Adam, you're the father of humanity. Allah created you with His own hands. Don't you see what we are going through? Ask Allah for intercession. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to start the judgment day. And He's gonna say, I was commanded not to eat from the tree, but I did eat. I committed a sin. I don't have the audacity to go and ask Him. Go to Noah. And then each one will be referring us to the next one until it comes to Isa alayhi salam. They said he will not mention a sin. But then he would say, shall I guide you to the right hand? Who will do it? Go to Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So he said, Prophet said, then people will come to me and then I'll go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's al-maqam al-mahmud. After adhan you say, اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آتي محمد الوسيلة وابعثه اللهم مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته. That's the end of the hadith. There is nothing called إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. This is not part of the hadith. So that dua, when the Prophet said this is al-maqam al-mahmud. This is the status that will be given to no one. And out of humbleness, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, this status should be only for one person, and I hope to be that person. Out of humbleness, he is the one. But he's saying, out of humbleness, I hope to be that person. And he is, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So he said, I'm going to go, and I'm going to make sujood under the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will teach me, tasbih and dua that I will make, and then Allah will say, Ya Muhammad, irfa' ra'sak, wasal tu'ata, washfa' tushaffa'. Oh Muhammad, raise your head out of sujood, and ask, and whatever you ask will be given to you. If you ask for intercession, you'll be granted intercession. And first thing he would say, Ummati. He's not going to say myself, as we do today. He's going to say my ummah. We always think of us. We think of him. You see what I'm saying? So he was the one who said, at the time of death, he said, La ilaha illallah, inna lil mawti la sakarat. So he's stressing the fact that we feel some pain, but it's not as the pain of the disbeliever. Okay? Yeah.
I noticed when I was praying, when I saw them apart, they can concentrate more than when I'm opening your eyes and looking into the sea.
Yeah. Okay,
How
so
can I get that?
okay, so the brother is saying, when I'm praying, I feel more khushu' and I can focus more if I close my eyes and I look at the place of sujood. Is that okay? No, it's not okay. It's disliked, makruh, to close your eyes while you're praying. So, if you look at the place of sujood and you have something playing like this, alhamdulillah, and you think about what you're saying, then you'll not be distracted. Because normally, if you're praying and the prayer mat that you have, like, has the Kaaba, and has some drawers, what do? Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Man, the Kaaba. I went to Hajj with the Sheikh this year. It was my first time to see the Kaaba. I wish I could go there. Yeah, I remember after we finished the Umrah, we went shopping. And we bought prayer mats for our brothers in Mississauga from the Prophet. Man, it's made in China. Anyway. So, you'll be standing in front of Allah, right? With your body, but your heart is not there. Remember, Allah doesn't listen to your tongues. Allah listens to your hearts. So if that link between the tongue and the heart is disconnected, then there's no connection with Allah, there's no signal. And this is why you ask some people, Akhi, how do you feel after Salah? They will say, perfectly like before Salah, Akhi. Nothing changed. Yeah, because the connection didn't happen. It's exactly like when you call somebody and the phone keeps saying connecting, calling, and then the line drops. Connecting, and the line drops. There's no signal. So it's like Allahu Akbar, you're thinking about, is that biryani? No, there's like some burning, like no bread. Man, like what are we going to be eating? So this is why, like, if you're hungry and it's time for salah, eat first. Because you need to focus on your salah. Even if you have to delay your salah. So don't let anything distract you. I have a lecture, I don't know if they put it on YouTube or not. It's called Maintaining the Divine Link. How to attain khushu' in salah. It's a 2 hour. I can summarize it, inshallah, in about 3 minutes now. Basically, there are so many tips that can help you to have khushu' in your salah. First of all, they asked Hatim al-Asam, one of the righteous people back in the history of Islam. They said, how do you pray? He said, when I come to stand in front of Allah, I feel that importance. I'm going to be standing in front of Allah. How many of us, when we come and the Imam says, staw, you think that they're going to be standing in front of Allah? Or like they are just doing a physical exercise. Man, we have to pray. It's like ordeal. No, akhi. You should enjoy connecting with Allah. Right? So, when Al-Hasan, the son of Ali, used to go and make wudu, his face would turn pale. And then they would ask him, what's wrong? And he would say, do you know after a few minutes, in front of whom I'm going to be standing? I'm preparing to stand in front of Allah. So do you have that in your heart? That's number one. And then you come and start standing. Sometimes if you don't know the Qibla, what happens? Somebody's saying, brother, tilt a little bit to the left. No, back to the right. No, not that much. What are you trying to do? You're trying to face the Qibla with your... Where's your heart? Is your heart facing the Qibla too? You see what I'm saying? So where's your heart? So always make sure that your heart is present. Otherwise there is no connection. Right? Okay. Then we are in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You hear the Imam saying, Allahu Akbar. What does that mean? Oh, Shaykh, it means Allah is the greatest. I'm not asking for translation. What does it mean to you? How do you feel when you hear it from Him? Does it hit you in the heart? Meaning, man, I'm going to leave the whole world behind me. The kids, the wife, the husband, the business, all my worries and concerns. I'm going to be very respectful to Allah and I'm going to concentrate for 10 minutes. Imagine if you're going into a test. You're going to meet a VIP in this dunya. What do? You make sure you're dressed well, right? And when you stand in front of Him, how do you feel? Focused, 100%. You're listening with all of your ears, all ears. You can't skip a word. You might even take notes because it's inappropriate, right? Can you just stand in front of, like whatever, like somebody your boss at work, or like you're supposed to meet the prime minister or a king? Can you stand in front of him, giving him your back, or like your side? You're gonna say, "Hey, I just want to tell you something." And he's standing here, and you're standing like this, and you're talking to him like this. He's not even looking at him. That's exactly what we do in our salah. We're standing in front of the King of all kings, but we don't realize the importance of the meeting, right? So we're standing there, and we're thinking about everything except salah, because there's a special shaitan for salah called Khanzab. The Prophet said, he will come and remind you of everything except salah. This is why a man came to Abu Hanifa rahimahullah and said, Imam, I have a question for you, but it's not about the deen. He said, go ahead. He said, I put my money somewhere and I forgot. He said, go and pray to Rakah. He said, no, Imam, just listen to me. I put my money somewhere and I don't remember where's that money. And Abu Hanifa said, go and pray to Rakah. Sometimes you ask the Imam a question and you feel like the Imam is dumb. He doesn't understand you. Akhi, just respect the Imam. For the third time, the man said, I'm not talking about Salah, ya Shaykh. I'm asking about my money. He said, go and pray 2 rak'ah. I said, you know what? There's no use to talk to this Imam. Let's go and pray 2 rak'ah. Maybe after the 2 rak'ah I will come and ask him, he's going to give me the answer. That's what he understood. So he went, Allahu Akbar. Khanzab came to her and said, man, you remember that tree when you were digging under the tree and you put your hand? Yes! He ran away and he left his salah. And he got the money. When he got the money, came back, he felt so embarrassed. He said, SubhanAllah, I was praying. Then he came to Abu Hanifa and said, now I understand why you told me to pray in 2 rak'ah. I said, yeah. So when the Imam says something, just listen to him. You might learn the lesson later on. Because he knows that shaitan will come to him right away. Right? Because his job is distract you. He took an oath. فَبِعِزَّتِكَ لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. Right? And this is why Allah said, فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنِ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. When you recite Quran, seek refuge with Allah from shaitan. Why? Because this is the light. And shaitan doesn't want you to get the light. He wants you to live in darkness. He wants you to be with him. Right? So he'll keep whispering to you. But when you really mean it, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, there will be no distraction. But again, sometimes like, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. What did he say, Akhi? The Shaykh told me to say أعوذ بالله. What does it mean? I seek refuge with Allah from it. You're giving me the translation again. But do you feel it when you say it? The only time Allah will give you that refuge is when you feel it, when you mean it. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ. Allah didn't say, أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَاهُ. He said, al-muttar. Because when you are in an emergency and you really need Allah, it comes from your heart. But normally it's like, Allahumma. What's wrong with that line? Anyway, Allahumma. I don't like the colors, they're not matching. But anyway, I'm going to talk to the Shaykh about this. Allahumma. You're making dua. And you're like looking everywhere. Even what you're saying, it's utmost respect to Allah. Because when you ask a human being, wallahi, I know when we were kids, when we want to ask our dad something, we'll be like begging him until we cry. I need to go into that field trip. All of my friends are going. Give me the $10, man. What's wrong with you? I will never disobey you from today on. And then you will cry. This is Su'ad al-Muttar. Please, I want to do this. But when we do dua to Allah, we're absent-minded. Our heart's not there. You see what I'm saying? So they said, when you say Allahu Akbar, this is exactly how the Sahaba used to say it. They say, when we take off our shoes outside and put them on the rack outside, we take off the dunya outside with the shoes. So we come here and say, Ya Allah, I'm yours for the 10 minutes. Is it more than 10 minutes? Sometimes even less. Can't I give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 10 quality minutes? So when you say Allahu Akbar, mean it. Ya Allah, help me. I want you to be the most, because I'm leaving everything. You're greater than everything. And I'm coming here to prove it by my actions. So one day I was sharing this in Salat al-Tarawih. I said, let's compete today. Who's going to say Allahu Akbar, meaning it and feeling it? And after we finished the first 2 rak'ah, a brother right behind me was crying. I said, why are you crying, brother? He said, Sheikh, I was like, I said, don't put your hand like this after Allahu Akbar until you mean it. He said, I was like struggling to put my hand because I said it, but I was still thinking about my business and my children. So I felt so embarrassed in front of Allah. You see what I'm saying? So we have to do jihad in our salah. Jihad against ourselves. Jihad against that khanzab who will distract us. Okay? And then when you say, A'udhu billahi min ash-shaytan al-rajim, in the salah, mean it. Feel it. Then Allah will grant you that refuge. You say, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. What does it mean? Again, they will give me a translation. In the name of Allah. Yeah, that's a translation. But what's the meaning of in the name of Allah? Without Allah, I can't do this. I'm doing this only to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't guide my heart to come, I wouldn't be saying this. This is all included in Bismillah. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Right? And why do we choose Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim from all the names of Allah to say Bismillah Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim? As if Allah is saying, listen, at some point in your life, you might have been distracted and you were away from Allah. But you know what? If you come back and say Bismillah, I will be Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. I will forgive you. And I'll shower you with my mercy and I'll accept you back. So don't ever lose hope in my mercy, because my mercy will always be there. The door back to me is open 24/7. قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا. In Surah Al-Zumar, 39, ayah number 53, Allah said, O my slaves who have gone to the extreme in committing all types of sins. He didn't say أَذْنَبُوا, committed a sin. No, all sins. لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. Never lose hope in the mercy of Allah. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. Don't say, Ya Rabbi, inna dhanbi kabir. Because Allahu Akbar. You say, I've committed a major sin. In the sight of Allah, a major sin could lead you back to Allah. They said, رُبَّ مَعْصِيَةٍ أَوْرَثَتْ ذُلًّا وَرُبَّ طَاعَةٍ أَوْرَثَتْ عِزًّا وَاسْتِكْبَارًا. SubhanAllah. Sometimes you might commit a sin, and this would be the way back to Allah, and you'll be a very humble person. And sometimes some people, they do good deeds a lot until they come to a point where they feel arrogant. Man, I'm a very good person. Never ever say this. Allah said, وَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Never praise yourself. Let people say this. Let Allah say this. And some people say, why did Yusuf alayhi salam said, اجعلني على خزائن الأرض إني حفيظ عليم. Yusuf praised himself. This is the only situation you have to speak up. You have to talk. When there is no one in the ummah who can do that job except you. Because this is an amana. Yusuf was not praising himself. Yusuf was saying, I will take that responsibility because there is no one in the ummah who is better than me because I want to take care of the ummah. You see what I'm saying? But no one. Umar was sitting with the Sahaba one time and he said, I'm the best amongst you today. He said, Umar, come on, what's wrong with you? Allah said, don't praise yourself. He said, I'm not praising myself. I'm just reminding you how I believe in the book of Allah. They said, what do you mean? He said, do you know Umar for the last 26 years? He was a thug. Right? If he walks in the street, nobody could be like just standing in the street. Everybody's going to go and shut their doors behind him because he's going to fight. That was Umar before Islam. Right? He said, how many bad deeds have I committed in my life? So many. I was very bad. And today, when I remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me with Islam and I became a Muslim and I'm doing good deeds, do you know why I'm the best amongst you? Because Allah said in Surah Al-Furqan, Surah number 25, ayah number 70, إِلَّا مَنْ تَابَ. Except for those who repent, acknowledge their sins and ask Allah for forgiveness. وَآمَنْ. And they believe in the promise of Allah. Allah will accept them. وَعَمِلَ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا. And they start doing righteous deeds. What's going to happen to them? فَأُولَٰئِكَ يُبَدِّلُ اللَّهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِمْ حَسَنَاتٍ. Not only will Allah forgive their sins, no, Allah will replace the record of bad deeds with the record of good deeds. Allahu Akbar. Then he said, who is the worst one amongst you? They said, Umar. He said, he's the best now. Because his record of 10 million bad deeds has become 10 million good deeds. Can anybody compete with me now? So I'm just explaining to you how I believe in the promise of Allah. I'm not praising myself because I know myself. There's one time he was in the minbar of the Prophet ﷺ, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the khutbah, he changed the topic. Like, let's say he was talking about the Quran, and all of a sudden he said, Umar! He's talking to himself in front of everyone. Umar! You were Umayr yesterday. You're nobody. What do you think high of yourself? Islam made you who you are. Don't forget that. And then he went back to the khutbah. So Abu Ubaidah, after he finished the khutbah, he said, Umar, what did you do, man? You bashed yourself in the khutbah. He said, yeah, I meant it. He said, why? He said, because Shaitan came to me when I'm giving the khutbah. I said, Umar, you are ruling over more than 20 countries, man. You're a big shot now. You're a king. So I just wanted to tell myself on the spot, no, you were Umayr, you were nothing yesterday. You became Umar because you became a Muslim. It's because of Islam. You're nobody. Humble yourself. This is subhanAllah, they would even not leave. Like, this is why Umar, subhanAllah, is unique. Imagine he was walking with the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ said, Umar, do you love me? He can simply say, yes, Prophet of Allah, I love you so much, that's enough. But this is Umar, he can't say it like that. He said, yes, Prophet of Allah, but I don't love you more than myself. So pure. Why? Because there's a lesson to be learned out of that. Prophet ﷺ said, no, Umar, you will not attain full Iman until you love me more than yourself. Did he act like hypocrites today? He said, oh, I love you, Prophet Allah, don't worry about this. You know, you have it. No, he started thinking. He stopped. He took a step back and he thought for a few minutes. He said, Umar, what do you want? You have to change this in your heart right now. He said, what do you want? Do you want dunya? Okay, leave that man. Do you want akhirah? Jannah is behind the steps of this man. And if he said you have to love him more than yourself, you have to entertain this now within yourself. Are you ready? Then he said, yes, I'm ready. That monologue happened within him for a few minutes. Then he came back to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, Prophet of Allah, now I love you more than myself. He said, Al-ana ya Umar. This is very famous in Islamic history. When you hear that statement, Al-ana ya Umar means, now you attain full Iman. But Abu Bakr proved it. Abu Bakr proved it with his action. We all know the story during the Hijrah. He used to jump in front of him, sometimes walk behind him, sometimes to his right, sometimes to his left. And the Prophet was smiling and said, what's wrong with you, Abu Bakr? What are you doing? He said, Prophet of Allah, when I remember that Quraysh is assigning 100 camels, something like $1 million today, for anybody who will bring you back, dead or alive, I just walk behind you to protect you. And when I remember a rust, something could happen from people coming from the front, they might hurt you, I walk in front of you. And when I think that the harm could come from the right or the left, I just walk to the right and the left. He said, Atuhibbuni Abu Bakr? Do you love me, Abu Bakr? He said, of course, Prophet of Allah. He said, are you willing to sacrifice your life? He said, yes, Prophet Allah. I said, like, why? He said, because if Abu Bakr dies, it's one person. But if you die, this is the end of Islam. This is one of his famous statements after the Prophet ﷺ passed away, and some people stopped giving zakah, and he was fighting them. And Umar came and said, are you fighting people who bear witness that La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah? And the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever takes the shahada, we cannot fight them. He said, أجبار في الجاهلية خوار في الإسلام يا ابن الخطاب. Were you like a tyrant before Islam, and now you don't want to follow Islam wholeheartedly? والله لو منعوني عقالا كانوا يؤدونها إلى رسول الله لقاتلتهم عليها. If they were to deny a rope, can you imagine like a thread that they used to give to the Prophet ﷺ? I'll fight them. Didn't the Prophet ﷺ said, إلا بحقها? When you say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, it's not just a statement. There are requirements, and one of the requirements is that you have to follow Islam. You don't pick and choose. You have to follow everything. And then he made his famous statement. He said, أَيَنْقُصُ الدِّينُ وَأَنَا حَيٍّ? Would there be something missing in this deen while I'm still alive? No. And that was the difference between Abu Bakr and Umar. They're the best, but they are degrees. Like the Sahaba, they're the best, but the people of Badr amongst them are the best. The people who witnessed Bay'at Ridwan, they are the best. So there are degrees even amongst them. See what I'm saying? So back to the question, just to summarize. So I would say, yes, we need to do everything possible to make sure that we have khushu' and salah. When you say Allahu Akbar, mean it and feel it. When you face the Qibla, face the Qibla with your heart. When you recite Al-Fatiha, say A'udhu Billahi Minashaitanir Rajeem, mean it, feel it. When you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, remember your sins. I'm coming back to you, Ya Allah, and I can do nothing without you, Allah. I'm doing things in your name and for your sake and to please you, and you are Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Forgive me. And then the first part of Al-Fatiha, starting from Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, until you say Ihdina as-Sirat until Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in, this is praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah interacts with you. Remember that dialogue? Imagine if Allah is interacting with you. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, rahimahullah, when he used to lead the salah, he used to recite like this: Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And he'll pause for a few seconds. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. He'll pause for a few seconds. And they ask him after salah, what are you doing? He said, Astamtu'u bi Rabbi Rabbi. I enjoy the reaction from Allah. Because when you say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Allah above 7 heavens, if you mean it and if it's coming from your heart, you would say Hamidani Abdi. You say Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allah says Majjadani Abdi. My slave is praising me. Malik Yawmuddin, so Athna alayya Abdi. It's a dialogue. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Hada bayni wa bayna abdi. When you seek refuge, when you seek aid from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when you worship Allah alone, Allah said, this is between me and my slave. And then you start saying, Ihdina as-Sirat al-Mustaqim till the end. That's dua. At the end of which Allah said, Hada li'abdi wa li'abdi ma sa'al. This is for my slave, and I'll grant him whatever he's asking me. Do you think Allah is going to do this with somebody who is absent-minded in the salah? No. It's somebody who means it, somebody who's crying, somebody who would recite Al-Fatiha in 2 to 3 minutes. Because some people pray, mashallah, in 10 minutes, some people pray in 10 seconds. The express salah. Assalamu alaikum. Done. Right? So, and then whatever you recite after Al-Fatiha, try to recite some verses that you know. Those short surahs? Learn them and know them so that you will feel you're connected all the time. Because when I say, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ, I understand the meaning of قُلْ. O Muhammad, say to them, أَعُوذُ, I seek refuge. بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ, مَلِكِ النَّاسِ, إِلَهِ النَّاسِ. Why did he repeat? Why did he say, بِرَبِّ وَمَلِكْ وَإِلَهِ النَّاسِ one time? Why is the repetition of the word al-nas there? What's the meaning of al-waswas? What's the meaning of al-khannas? If you understand these words, they're very beautiful. And it depicts like a picture for you. So you will love the Quran. And you will enjoy standing in front of Allah. When you make ruku'ah, how many of us thought about being humble? If the king in any country, if the president in any country come and say, come and make ruku'ah to me, even bow to me, it's like, no. We only bow to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you feel that when you say, Subhana Rabbil Azim? Do you mean it? When you go to sujood, and you're putting the most honorable part of your body. Back in the days, there were no carpets. The Prophet ﷺ used to pray from the dust, from the sand. Ali radiallahu anhu said, after we finish the salah, sometimes the rain will come and our faces will be full of mud, and our hands and our knees. Right? So you're reminding yourself, I came from dust and I'm going back to dust. Humbleness. You're putting the most honorable part on the ground. People, sometimes they see you at the airport or someplace, they come to me, it's like, why are you kissing the ground? I say, I'm not kissing the ground. I'm showing total submission to God. And then there is a way for da'wah. And then you can explain to them what you're doing. And what do you say? You say, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. Ya Allah, I'm the lowest of the low. I'm putting my face on the ground for you. And you're the highest of the high. Accept me back. Forgive me. So when you live everything that you're saying in salah, wallahi, you will enjoy yourself. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, we'll take this as the last one, inshallah, because
Sorry,
I have a flight.
Okay, just a quick one, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan for being here among us, for your busy schedule. May Allah grant you goodness in both worlds, inshallah, and your family among us. How do you balance between shukr and sabr? Meaning, when the person is in a condition that Allah is testing him or her, how do you balance to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to change the condition or do sabr?
Okay. One of the misconceptions amongst the Muslims themselves is that they think if Allah gives me, Allah is pleased with me. And if Allah denies me, Allah is displeased with me. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clarified this in 2 ayahs. In Surah Al-Fajr, ayah number 15 and 16. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه ونعمه. We don't stop at the word فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه. Allah said when man is being tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by being given a life of ease and luxury. Some people say, what do you mean? No, Allah gives me because I'm a good person. No. Allah said, ibtila. So giving is a test. And this is why in return we say, فَيَقُولُ رَبِّي أَكْرَمًا. It's obligatory, man. I'm the son of so and so. I'm a PhD. So Allah has to give me. No. You could be the smartest guy, but you wouldn't have a job. It's a risk from Allah, right? And then the other scenario is, وَأَمَّا إِذَا مَا ابْتَلَاهُ فَقَدْرَ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also tests by taking from you, denying you something, right? Allah tightens your risk. You become sick, you lose a job, you lose a loved one. It's a test. فَيَقُولُ رَبِّي أَهَانًا. So our reaction is always wrong. It's like, why Allah? Why are you doing this to me? I'm a good Muslim. I pray 7 times a day. You pray 7 times here? Okay? Then, like subhanAllah, as if you're starting to blame Allah. You cannot question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَيَقُولُ رَبِّي أَهَانًا. Allah, you are humiliating me. Why? Allah said, كَلَّا. Both of you are wrong. When I give, I'm testing. When I deny, I'm testing. So when Allah gives, He's testing your gratitude. So when Allah makes your life easy, you should thank Allah for that. How? It's not like Alhamdulillah. That's the first part with the tongue, but it has to be in the heart. It's all from Allah. It's not because I'm smart. Because the following day, you could be in bed, not moving. He gave you the health to make that money. So everything belongs to Him. Inna lillah. That's the meaning of Inna lillah. We all belong to Allah. Right? And then, also, when Allah denies, He's testing our patience. So, Allah takes a job from you. He's the one who gave it to you. So when you become patient, say, Ya Allah, I accept your qadar. But I know that you will not let me down. You will give me a job. You'll give me a better job. At the moment when you're living during the test, you should have certainty, yaqeen in your heart that Allah will never forget about you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it a promise. وَرِزْقُكُمْ فِي السَّمَاءِ وَمَا تُوعَدُونَ فَوَرَبِّ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ إِنَّهُ لَحَقٌّ مِثْلَ مَا أَنَّكُمْ تَنْطِقُونَ. SubhanAllah, a Bedouin was praying behind the Imam. He said, مَنَّ الَّذِي أَغْضَبَ الْمَلِكَ حَتَّى يُقْسِمْ. He said, who made Allah angry that He's taking an oath to say, فَوَرَبِّ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ إِنَّهُ لَحَقٌّ. Rizq is haqq, it will come to you. Because some people, like, they have anxiety. Right? إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ خُلِقَ هَلُوعًا. Allah said, إِذَا مَسَّهُ الْخَيْرُ إِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الْخَيْرُ مَنُوعًا. Al-Khair here doesn't mean good. Al-Khair here means money. It means wealth. When Allah gives him wealth, he withholds. I'm not going to give because it's going to decrease. But when evil happens to him, when he loses a job, he's jazua. Why me? And he becomes anxious. You see? So this life is between these two meanings. Gratitude when given, and patience when denied. You have always to remember this. So, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing me by denying me, I should accept the qadr of Allah and I should make dua too. I should make dua too because this is the means to Allah. I mean, Ayyub alayhi salam is teaching us a big lesson. He has been sick for 18 years. He's patient. But this doesn't stop him from making dua. And look at the beautiful way he made the dua. He said, رَبِّ أَنِّي قَدْ مَسَّنِيَ الضُّرُّ وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. He didn't say, وَأَنْتَ الشَّافِي. I just need your mercy. He needs shifa. But he didn't even say, Ya Allah ishfini. Right? This is why Allah praised him. We read in Surah Sad, ayah number 41, Allah said, نِعْمَ الْعَبْدِ. Allah said, what a beautiful slave. إِنَّا وَجَدْنَاهُ صَابِرًا. Why? He was patient. 18 years. And he was patient. Right? So, our life is between these two. I remember, like, I was given a class in London, UK one time, and one of the sisters raised her hand. She said, you keep talking about life as a test, life as a test. Listen, I've never been tested in my life. And I smiled. I said, how? She said, I'm a medical doctor. I have a PhD in medicine, so I'm a professor teaching medicine. I'm practicing medicine. I have 2 or 3 houses. I have 4 cars. I've always been healthy. I said, this is your test. Sometimes we don't see the test, right? I said, this is your test. Allah tests you by giving. He's testing others by denying, but Allah's testing you by giving. What do you do with that? And then she started crying on the spot. She said, I said, do you have it all? She said, no, I'm not married. I don't have children. I said, you see, there's something missing. So you need to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So rizq, it doesn't mean cash. Because when you hear the word rizq, the only thing that comes in the minds of people are dollars. No, rizq could be a spacious house, a nice car, a righteous wife, right? You know, good kids, good health. But we always think about money. No, we have so many blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The best of which is the fact that you're a Muslim. You're not misguided in this dunya. Then everything else becomes easy. So we have to maintain that balance of be grateful to Allah when He gives you by sharing that money, by sharing that knowledge, by sharing your time. It doesn't mean, again, always like sadaqah is giving money. Sadaqah could be giving knowledge. Sadaqah could be like, Allah gave you health, just use it, akhi, to volunteer in the masjid. Allah gave you a car and there's a brother in need of a ride, you'll get a reward if you bring somebody to the masjid. You get the same reward like them without diminishing the reward. Somebody's traveling and like you give him support, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will write this in the record of good deeds. And one day you'll be in the same situation, Allah will find you someone. Allah, remember, I'm just going to conclude with this one. My mother, may Allah give her long life and good deeds, and all of you, inshallah. She always makes that dua for me. And when I was young, I couldn't understand it. But now I realize what it means. In the Egyptian dialect, she used to say, روح يا ابن ربنا يريح قلبك. ويحبب فيك خلقك ويوقف لك ولاد الحلال. Like these are like 3 beautiful, very simple du'as. But this is how mothers function. It's very simple, but it's very deep. May Allah grant you the peace of the heart and the peace of the mind. When I was young, like, what's wrong with my heart and my mind? I didn't realize that until you become old and you start having worries and concerns and anxiety, then you know what it means. Second, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make everybody who meets you love you. And then the third one, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala support you with people wherever you go. Wallahi, I see this in my life every day. You know what I'm saying? Because she sees it from the heart. Even though I'm not the best, in child for her because I'm traveling all the time, but I try my best to keep in touch with her and provide her with all what she needs. But subhanAllah, I wish I could live next to her and serve her. Because this is one key to Jannah. Right? So, I used to do the same. If I'm traveling and then I see somebody, I stop and say, I'm going to Cairo. Is it your way? Yeah. Join me, please. One time I see like a family, and then the kids started crying. I said, why are you crying? She said, we haven't eaten for 3 days. I felt so bad. I stopped at the first restaurant, I gave them food, and I gave them money. Not that I'm bragging about this now, but I'm just teaching you through this. Because one day I was traveling, and I arrived in like about 2 hours away from Cairo. I wanted to have suhoor with my family. It was Ramadan. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. So we took a taxi from there. The taxi has to have like 7 people. And he wouldn't move before that. So there were only 3 people. I said, let's go, and I'm going to pay for the 2 other seats. We arrived in Cairo about 2:45. Fajr is like at about 3:20. So once we arrived in Cairo, the place where he's going to drop me is like about 2 kilometers away from my house. And at that time, it's like dead in the street. Even taxis, because people are having support too. So there's nothing. And it was very cold. So I told the driver, I said, listen, I'm going to give you the same money for the whole taxi from Ismailia to Cairo, but just like it's only 2 kilometers, and drop me home. He said, you want to have suhoor with your family? I want to have suhoor with my family too. I'm sorry. And he dropped me off. So I said, okay, alhamdulillah. You know, it's meant. I'm not going to be able to do it. Alhamdulillah. I'm just thinking about this. And a pickup truck stops. And somebody from the truck saying, Dr. Bedeir, join me. Let me take you home. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. A pickup truck for a professor like me. I wouldn't know somebody like driving like a pickup truck. And he's calling my name. I just looked at him. I said, do you know me? And he's like, Dr. Bedeir, don't waste your time. You live at 12 Shara Nasser Khusro Street, you know, and you are in the 7th floor. Apartment number 19. He's talking about my own place. I couldn't resist. I just like went in the car. Like somebody's giving my name, giving me like where I live. I said, man, you work for the government. SubhanAllah. I said, tell me the story then. I don't know you. How do you know me? He said, Allah used you to guide me in my life. I said, tell me the story, man. What do you mean? He said, do you know the building in front of you? I said, yes. He said, do you know the shop where they sell chicken and stuff? I said, yes. He said, I'm the one who brings them the chicken and the eggs and the stuff. And he said, one day, I was sitting there and I made an accident with the car. And until that day, all of my life, I have never prayed 1 rak'ah. And I'm sitting there, I have problems with my wife, I have problems with my kids. You know, I swear at my mom, I have a very bad relationship with her. And he said, all of a sudden, I heard a very beautiful adhan. And he said, as if it was the first time in my life to hear the adhan. You know when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to guide someone, nobody can stop Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the guidance of the hearts is only in the hands of Allah. He said, I heard somebody saying, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. SubhanAllah, that day, the mu'adhin was not there, and I couldn't find anyone, so I gave the adhan myself. He said, Wallahi, the adhan was like a revelation to me, as if I'm hearing the adhan for the first time in my life. He said, I found myself standing up. There's no wudu in that masjid because like it's a small place. It's like a musalla. So he said, I want to make wudu. And the guys started making fun of him because they know him. It's like, no, you Abu Jahl, you're going to make wudu? No way, man. He's like, Wallahi, I want to pray. They said, okay, come to the shop, go to the washroom, make wudu. He made wudu and came to the masjid. Normally, after Maghrib, go Salat al-Maghrib. After Maghrib, in that musalla, I give a talk for 4 minutes, 59 seconds. I always ask the brother to time me, and I end up with a cliffhanger so people will come the following day to listen to the end of the story. It's like one way of bringing people. Like, you know, when they those series and they grab you to come back and watch it, like we follow the same thing but for a halal means. Anyway, that day I was doing a series of tafsir and I was supposed to be doing tafsir of Surah Al-Adiyat. But subhanallah, I don't know, you know, Allah has a reason. Every time I want to start to talk about Surah Al-Adiyat, something comes to me, it's like, no, you're going to talk today about Birr al-Walidayn. I'm like, no, I'm going to talk about Al-Adiyat. That struggle is happening within me for like almost a minute, and people are like, no, why is the Shaykh not talking? I want to talk about Al-Adiyat, and Allah is like making like my brain plain. Like, there is nothing about Surah Al-Adiyat in my mind. Talk about Birr al-Walidayn. I said, like, you know, okay. I started talking about Birr al-Walidayn. And he said, as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using you that day to bring me back. He said, you're talking and I'm sitting at the back. He didn't even notice me. And I'm crying. Because he said, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said to a man, is your father alive? He said, no. He said, you lost one key to Jannah. Is your mother alive? He said, yes. He said, you still have a key to Jannah. So I was saying this and he was crying and crying and crying. And then the whole message, as if Allah used me for that guy. I mean, it was for everyone in the masjid, but it was direct to him. He said, Shaykh, that happened about 5 years ago. I never talked to you. But Allah sent you to me today to share the story with you. Now I have 10,000 in the bank, halal money. And I paid all the mortgage of my car. And now I have the best relationship with my mother. And my kids pray Fajr. And my wife is in good terms with me. simply because of that day. Yeah. So I'm saying always do good, be grateful to Allah, share what Allah has given you. When Allah denies you, accept in the heart, but also make dua. Ya Allah, you know what you mean. Because the Prophet ﷺ went to visit a man, and the man was extremely sick. So the Prophet ﷺ said, did you make dua against yourself? The man said, yes. He said, why? What's the dua that you made? He said, Ya Allah, if you're going to punish me in the akhirah, please punish me now. He said, you can't endure this. We're very weak. Do istighfar. And the Prophet ﷺ made dua for him. So sometimes some people are very tough on themselves. They'll do it the opposite way and always have hope in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. This is the dua the Prophet used to say at the end of any gathering. Sometimes you might slip or say something wrong. This is called kafarat al-majlis. Allah will forgive any slips that you might have made during that gathering. So always at the end of any gathering, make that dua. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خير for having me. And sorry for boring you if I have talked for a long time.